guiding light, and I went all the way out to crazy. I mean, crazy, until I was stabbed in the back with a crystal cylinder during a rape attempt. I mean, daytime was wild in those days. But yeah, that was my first Emmy, and then, it sounds so funny to say, but anyway, and then I went on Santa Barbara, and I played this abusive tennis pro who got in a fight with A. Martinez, and he threw me through a plate glass window, and I busted my knee, and I was told I would never play tennis again, and I cried, you know, and that was my second Emmy.
And again, I am getting to the Flash, but I do want to talk about the fact that you had an opportunity, a very rare opportunity, to kind of come back to that many years later, and that had to be extremely rewarding, because that just doesn't happen very much in the realm of soap operas. You don't get to see somebody come back to a character that they played so many years ago. What was that like, coming back and doing that again all those years later?
It was completely unexpected. I mean, I knew eventually they would reboot The Flash, and then that would be that, but it fell in and out of development so many times, and finally, when I found out that they would be doing it on the CW and Grant Gustin would be playing Flash, I didn't know. I thought they'd go one of two ways. Either they'd want to have something completely their own, you know, cut ties with the past, which I would have completely understood and supported, actively supported. But when I heard that Jeff Johns had sort of blown up the Allen family, and suddenly Henry Allen, my father, as Barry Allen, my father was not wrongfully convicted of killing my mother in front of a 10-year-old me. And when I found out that that was the current telling of the Allen family, I said, well, you know what? Because everyone was saying, Jake Garrick, you gotta be Jake Garrick. I said, if they come to me, that's the part I would want. Because Barry's the only one who believes he's innocent. Even his best friend Joe doesn't believe it, but Barry believes. I said, if I come back, that's the way I would want to hand it off, as a father-son blessing. Not quite as on the nose as, go get him, superhero, you know, protege. But, and so yeah, they brought me on as Henry, and I have to tell you, the first 2 years of the current Flash was a journey for me and Grant Gustin where I really felt that that was completed. I really felt like, you know, we had formed a bond and there was a special place for us in those Henry Barry scenes. And then, the Jay Garrick surprise. And I circled around to the character everybody wanted me to be to begin with, so that was kind of a trip.
Well, and those scenes between you two, when he would come see you and you guys would talk on the phone, I even told you this, because I remember we talked about it, it just wrecked me. Like, it was so, I was amazed. I was amazed at how emotional, yeah, I was amazed at how emotional it got. I mean, it really, the writers on that show were just brilliant in what they gave you guys to work with. Because every single time, I even knew, it was like, okay, here it comes, here, I'm gonna start crying, because the scene's gonna get me. And every single time it worked.
You know, the father-son dynamic is so loaded, right? As is the mother-daughter dynamic. You know, Greg Berlanti took over Dawson's Creek when Kevin Williamson left, Berlanti Productions, CW Flash. And, you know, so he really gets serialized drama. That was always the issue with the original Flash. I felt it was my job, character relationship, and how, you know, are Tina and Barry going to get together? Are they not? Where do we start at the beginning of the season? Where do we end up at the end of the season? Well, as a serialized drama writer, Greg has all of that. He also has an intense love of this medium, as do clearly Jeff Johns, Andrew Kreisberg, David Nutter, and they were the ones who came in and created this new show. So what was your question?
I was just saying the scenes between you and Grant, when he would come to see you in the prison, I was just always amazed at how every single time the emotional resonance of those scenes, it never failed. It always hit exactly where it needed to hit, and it always kind of left you with the lump in your throat. And
it was amazing. After even the pilot, when I saw Grant, I hadn't seen the pilot yet, but I saw him at the CW upfronts where they announced the new shows for the season. And it's the first time I'd seen him since we had filmed the scene, and he had seen it. And he came up to me and he said, man, our scene, it works. He said, I'm sitting there going, oh man, you can't cry at your own scene. You can't cry at your own scene. And I'll tell you, you hit on it. Every time we do a scene, I think, well, that's it. There's no other way that father-son scene could be written. And then they'd come up with a new way. And, you know, I wrote them and I just said, Greg and Andrew and all those guys, and I said, you know, this is just so rich. You guys surprise me every time, you know. And I think culminating with, you know, where I know, I love the scene where I know he's the Flash, but he's not ready to tell me, but I've been shanked and I'm in the infirmary, and I say, well, yeah, okay, I won't pull your covers, but if the Flash were my son, I'd tell him a few things, you know. I tell him it's a dangerous world, to be careful, but most of all, I tell him his father's proud of him. You know, I love that scene, and I love what Henry does there, because he knows, he gets the very, he's not ready to tell him. He doesn't bust him, he doesn't pull his covers, he opens the door this much so that when his son is ready, as he did in the Trickster episode, when he saves me from a box of knives, and he pulls that cow back, and Grant Gustin becomes a 12-year-old boy, I swear, right before my eyes, and he's like, look what I can do, you know, and then my line, well, you always did look good in red. Which actually, Helen Slater had a variation of that same line about looking good in blue on Supergirl.
Yeah. We're going to come back to current Flash, but I want to talk about classic Flash for a minute. Summer of 1989, Tim Burton's Batman comes out. Suddenly everybody realizes superheroes are very marketable. You guys kind of came in like right at the end of that, and you know, you come in with this series that I believe at the time was the most expensive TV series ever made. You know, I mean, the production value was, you know, amazing. And the special effects, everything about it. I imagine as an actor to be able to walk on that set every day was just kind of like, oh, this is like Disneyland. I mean, look at these sets, look at these costumes, look at the people I get to work with. I imagine it was just a joy to work on that show, other than the costume.
Oh yeah. So, you know, we all have our superhero costume horror stories, you know, in which nobody wants to hear an actor who's been privileged to play one of these characters the way they're being told today, whine about how difficult, oh, my suit is so difficult. Having said that, there are specific challenges to working in a suit, which any of these cosplayers, there were some Barry Allens in here, and I saw Batman. They know exactly, there's one there that knows exactly what I'm talking about. I was very hesitant when I was first approached because I was a fan of the 60s Batman series when I was a boy. And you know, they kind of spoofed it, it was kind of high camp. I didn't know that I would be very good at doing that. But I read the script, Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo's script, and I'm like, wow, unblessed son of a family where real cops work the streets, and I go to the crime lab so my mom doesn't have to be worried about all the men in her family maybe not coming home that night. And my